Hello folks, my name is Ranjit George and this is my first cybersecurity nugget. You will find more such informative nuggets for many of these cyber solutions that you need clarity on. Let's begin with the first one known as DMARC. So DMARC is a technical standard that helps protect email senders and recipients from spoofing through which they receive spam and phishing. So we need to learn more about this. Let's go ahead. So through email spoofing, you receive phishing and spam emails. So what is email spoofing? Email spoofing is the creation of email messages with a fake sender address via which the sent message appears to have been sent from a legitimate address. Since email protocols do not have any authentication mechanism at the core, it makes it possible for phishing and spam emails to use the spoofing method to mislead or prank the receiver of the email on the origin of the message. Spam and phishing emails typically use such spoofing to mislead the recipient about the original message, and cybercriminals masquerade as legitimate email sender. For the relevance of this topic, below are the email protocols: SMTP, IMAP, POP, HTTP. Now, from this, we have SMTP, IMAP, and POP, which are app based, and HTTP, which is for web based email. Phishing. Phishing is a cyber attack that uses disguised email as a weapon to trick the recipient into believing that messages received is something they want or need, that is, a request from the bank, for instance, or a note from someone in their company. In the current scenario, you will find it habitually related to COVID-19, and along with it a link or download an attachment or pay towards charity. So in companies, what do? They send out the awareness mailers to all the employees of the company. But you would find, despite of repeated mailers on awareness, we find cases where such emails have been attended to. So ideally, the problem lies with the folks who just ignore the emails from the InfoSec team and give more importance to well-crafted emails from users with malicious intent. How to stop phishing? Now, although this is not relevant to this particular topic of DMARC, but there are a few steps that, in case if you all want to know on how you can exactly stop it, these are the few methods. And these steps will definitely help you, at least to curb it at a particular level. The first one is to educate and conduct training sessions with mock phishing scenarios with all process in the organization. The possible ways are during induction of new employees in cafeteria, digital signage, static posters, screensavers, branding on cups, awards, security awareness day, conducting social awareness sessions, video training modules, webinars, live attack simulations, and periodic review. Deploy a spam filter that detect virus, blank senders, etc. This unsolicited, unwanted, and virus-infested emails called spam and stop it from getting into email boxes. ISPs use spam filters to make sure that they aren't distributing spam. Keep all systems current with the latest security patches and updates. Again, patch management is one of a kind, one of a top job. Its count never seems to cease. Monthly, you receive new updates, and you need to appreciate the folks that are involved in patching. The headache is understood because you don't really get the downtime for server patching. So it's just relax and just continue with the good job. Install an antivirus solution, schedule a signature update, and monitor the antivirus status on equipment. Update regularly for the signatures and ensure to address any systems that have not been updated for more than 2 days. Develop a security policy that includes but isn't limited to password expiration complexity. Now we know that every month after 30 days you need to change your password. This is a norm that is being followed, but you will find the frameworks are changing, and you do not require to go to the monthly change, and you can extend it to 60, 90, or yearly change of passwords. And some of the companies are even moving towards passwordless system authentication. Use a web filter to block malicious website. Yes, this is one of the beautiful products, that is web filters, but ensure that you have a hybrid type so that people who are not in your organization and are on roaming profile also are protected with this kind of solutions. So in-house web filters are now, it's out of date, it's due to its limitations. Encrypt all sensitive company information. Should also add employees who telecommute. One good thing is to ensure that you classify data, because you need to know what you want to encrypt and who all requires encryption, because all of this has a cost involved in it, and you need to ensure that the right systems are secure. Change email formats. Convert HTML into text-only email messages. Read email messages in plain text. So this option is already available in your Outlook. If you see, there are three options to convert it into HTML, plain text, and all of that format. Highly unlikely that organization might do this, but nevertheless, no harm if you're good with just text, just go ahead and do it. So what are spam emails? Email spam are junk or unsolicited bulk emails sent through the email system. Unsolicited emails means the recipient did not grant permission for receiving those emails. The legal definition and status of a spam varies across countries, and no law or lawsuits have been successful in stopping spam. Most of them are commercial in nature, and some are annoying, and some are usually as and dangerous, that contain links to phishing or malware, and some contain attachments to download with a probable Trojan or malware. So why DMARC? So domain-based message authentication reporting and conformance is the first and only email authentication technology that can make the from address that the users see in their email clients trustworthy. DMARC ensures that legitimate email is properly authenticated against established DKIM and SPF standards, which we will learn later, and that fraudulent activity, spoofing domains under your company's control, is blocked. DMARC works with SPF, that is Sender Policy Framework, and DKIM, Domain Keys Identified Mail, to authenticate mail senders and ensure that destination email systems trust message sent from your domain. Implementing DMARC with SPF and DKIM provides additional protection against spoofing and phishing emails. DMARC helps receiving mail systems determine what to do with the messages sent from your domain that fail the SPF or DKIM checks. So what is SPF? A sender policy framework is a TXT record which is a part of the domain's DNS, and this record lists all authorized host names, IP address that are permitted to send email on behalf of your domain. The SPF TXT record helps prevent spoofing and phishing by verifying the domain name from which email message is sent. SPF validates the origin of the email message by verifying the IP address of the sender against the alleged owner of the sending domain. Domain administrators publish SPF information in the TXT record in DNS. The SPF information identifies authorized outbound email servers. Destination email systems verify that messages originate from the authorized outbound email servers. SPF is one of the email authentication techniques on which DMARC is based. The email validation system DMARC creates a link between SPF and DKIM. DMARC uses the results of SPF checks and adds a check on the alignment of the domains to determine its results. After configuring SPF rule, tells the receiving email server that if a message comes from your domain, it can enable the enforcement rule, which is configured to pass or fail or do nothing. SPF has its own share of issues as creating and managing SPF records, and it can be difficult. A poorly configured record can cause a number of deliverability issues, and if you will end up fixing problems related to SPF. Note, TXT records are a type of domain name system DNS record that contains text information for sources outside your domain. Coming to DKIM, Domain Keys Identified Mail is an email authentication method designed to detect forged sender address in emails, that is email spoofing, a technique often used in phishing and email spam using DKIM signature. The DKIM signature will generate a unique hash value. Before sending the email, the hash value is encrypted with a private key, the DKIM signature. The private key is only with the sender, and when the email is encrypted, the email is sent with the DKIM signature. Email receivers like Gmail and Microsoft Hotmail, Outlook, etc. detect the DKIM signature. This DKIM signature reveals which domain was used to sign the email in the encryption process. To validate the DKIM signature, the email server will run a DNS query to search for the public keys of that domain. Once the key is found, it is used to decrypt the DKIM signature back to the original hash value. These values are compared to the new values retrieved from the received email. If they match, the DKIM was valid. DKIM and difference with SPF. So DKIM alone is not a reliable way of authenticating the identity of an email sender. This is where DMARC addresses that problem by guaranteeing that the domain visible to the end user is the same as the domain that are validated by the DKIM and the SPF checks. So what's the difference? SPF allows email sender to define which IP addresses are allowed to send email for a particular domain. It focuses more on who is relaying the information. While DKIM provides an encryption key and digital signature that verifies that the email message was not forged or altered, that is, DKIM checks the integrity of email and authenticity of origin. So here's a DMARC flowchart. So this is from the magnify.com site. So what happens is you send the sending mail server sends the email, the receiving mail server receives the email. This is then distributed for the DKIM signatures domain from email header and the return address per domain email. So what does it do? It matches try to match the domain and match the IP. So did the DKIM pass? If it's a yes, it's aligned with DKIM. Did the SPF pass? Yes, it's aligned with SPF. So once that's done, it goes and validates and applies the DMARC policy. And if it's not, it does not move forward. DMARC compliance. DMARC compliance is required to ensure the highest possible delivery rate of your outbound email. Auditors can check for email integrity during audit. So the notes are the DMARC doesn't protect against lookalike domain spoofs or compromised accounts. The DMARC raw XML could be difficult to parse and correlate sending IP address with the actual organization. Last but not the least, setting up DMARC is good for the beginning, and the main issue comes on how you will ensure enforcement throughout the email ecosystem. The above note requires the auditor to be technically sound or use SME to assess them in this function. So SME means a subject matter expert. Whoever is good on this, an auditor can use their help. Coming to the summary. Three protocols act jointly to protect email domains from being spoofed. Sender policy framework, domain key identified mail, and domain-based message authentication, reporting, and conformance. So that's DMARC. SPF and DKIM share a limitation that makes them ineffective against moderately sophisticated threat actors. DMARC was created to address the limitations of SPF and DKIM and improve enforcement and reporting. Thank you. Appreciate your time to view my Cyber Nugget. We'll be sharing more relevant topics for learning under Cyber Skills Magnify Vlog. Do share your feedback and post the topics you are interested to learn. Do subscribe along with the bell icon for the latest notification and updates. Thank you.